Thanks so much, Jamie Morocker, and thank you to Michelle. Thanks for having us here today at the Original Flame on Highway 7, just behind Almost Perfect. We're going to talk about wood. We're going to get right into it.
Yep.
A lot of people thinking about going to buy a load of wood or going to cut down wood for their wood-burning fireplace this time of year. What am I looking for, Michelle?
The main thing is you want dry seasoned wood.
How do I know what that is?
You want to look at the ends of a piece of wood. So this one is a dry. It's a little darker on the end and dried out, and there's little checks or little cracks in the wood.
Okay.
Also,
how do I know that that's hardwood?
You can use hardwood or softwood, actually. Softwood is really nice to use in spring and fall.
Why?
It ignites quickly, it burns nice and hot, and then it burns away.
Okay.
So it's enough to take the chill off the house without overheating it. When you bang two pieces of dry wood together, it sounds hollow. When you do that with wet wood, which I have here, it creates a dull thud. Can you hear the difference?
Yeah.
So that's wet wood. It's nice wood, but it's wet.
So I have a load of wood. I put it outside and I tarp it, but some water. It's been dried out for how long do I usually let wood sit before I want to burn it in my fireplace?
If you want to actually season the wood, then you want it to probably sit out there for a good year. And it's best to keep it off the ground because you don't want the bottom to start rotting.
So could I have dry wood? It gets rained on, and will that make it wet, or will it be dried out?
That will dry off eventually. So you can bring it into the house a couple of days before to climatize the wood. And if it is a bit damp, it'll dry out in that couple of days, and you're good to go.
If it's
so once it's seasoned, it can still get wet, but it doesn't go right into the core of the wood.
If I were to go buy a load of wood, what should I expect to pay?
I would say this year you're probably looking around $250. A cord.
A quart. What's a quart?
A cord is 4 feet by 4 feet by 8 feet.
And how long will that last me?
Depends on the house. Most people are probably burning 2 to 3 cords of wood a year in a high efficiency stove. If you've got a really big house, maybe 4 cords.
Okay. All right, we're going to light a fire when we get back.
Yeah.
You're going to teach me women power, lighting fire.
That's right.
We're going to be under scrutiny from both of my fathers, my father and my father-in-law, who say nobody knows how to light a fire. We're going to talk about that and how things have changed, and this is also coming up right after the break. Okay, welcome back to Newswatch at 5:30. Join with Michelle now at the Original Flame on Highway 7. Michelle, you are going to light a fire. Some scrutiny, I'm sure, from the viewers. Do you get a lot of stigma because you're a woman that you're not going to know what you're talking about when people come in to help for help?
Yes, definitely. A lot of people will come in and ask to speak with the man.
Yeah, and how do you handle that?
I usually convince them that I know what I'm talking about, and then they prefer talking with a woman.
Why do you know what you're talking about?
I've been in the business 18 years, and I am WET certified, which is Wood Energy Technical Training.
Mm-hmm. Your newspaper's in a funny configuration there. What's going on?
Yep, you can crumple it up, or you can actually just roll it up and tie it in a knot. It doesn't move around so much.
Seems like a job for my children. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun. So you want lots of newspaper. You want to use the newsprint, not the colored and glossy paper, because that has chemicals. Exactly. Okay. So lots of newspaper.
Do you have to have gloves on?
No, but it keeps you from getting slivers.
Oh, okay.
So you want to put lots of kindling in.
Just throw it in. There's no rhyme or reason to the orientation of it.
Not really. You want it, crisscrossed a bit. And you want to use lots of kindling because our main goal here is to light the fire quickly and create the conditions for a clean, efficient burn.
So if you're telling me earlier how much wood people can expect to go through, how much kindling can they expect to go through in a season?
Quite a bit. I'm going to put in probably about a good 15 pieces.
Okay.
Because I want to heat that chimney up quickly. That is critical. And I'll put a couple of small pieces of wood in also. And I'm going to put those at the back. The fire is going to start at the front where the air comes in. So that's going to ignite our paper, which is going to hit the kindling, and then it'll hit the wood at the back. So
you haven't put any wood in at this point?
I put a couple little tiny pieces.
But not a big chunk of wood? Okay.
Because you want to use small pieces of wood to get that fire going.
Okay.
And I want to make sure my air control is wide open because we need lots of air.
Is that also called your damper?
That is the air control for the fire. They don't really have dampers anymore.
Okay, well what if my fireplace does have a damper?
If you have a fireplace with a damper, you want to make sure that the damper is wide open all the time.
And how do you know it's open?
They're a little bit different how you open and close them, but if you're unsure, just look up inside and there'll be a plate and it'll be open.
Okay, so you want it open because it's letting the air in.
Yes, now on an open fireplace, that's just letting the smoke out of the chimney. But on a wood stove, the air is actually coming in the bottom. It's washing down over the glass and coming in again at the bottom. This is a high efficiency stove, so there's secondary air tubes at the top of the firebox. Letting air in at the top of the fire will actually burn the smoke and gases inside the firebox.
Which is
So
good.
that's great because smoke has heat value in it. And if you let it go out the chimney, you're polluting and you're not getting all the heat value that you should from your wood.
What do you mean by an open fireplace?
Just a brick or stone fireplace with glass doors on the front.
That's exactly what I have, okay.
Then you always want to have that damper open when you're burning. Because in your
The whole
case...
time, even if the doors are closed?
Exactly. Because if you close that damper while it's burning, then the smoke's going to pour into the room.
So when do I close the damper?
Only when the fire is completely out. So open fireplaces are a little bit different than high efficiency stoves. Once it gets going really well and we put a couple of small pieces of wood on there, that's when we'll actually lock the door down.
And will you change the airflow then?
I'm going to leave it wide open until the wood is charred.
And then it will slowly burn once you turn the air down, right?
Exactly. That's going to give me that long burn time.
Okay, I'm getting my head wrapped around this. I'll be able to start a fire by dinner, honey. I'm coming
There you go.
home.
Correct. The ashes, when you take them out and put them into a pan or a pail, it's surprising, but the live coals can last for days, and they're giving off carbon monoxide in your house. So I like to promote this ash pan, which has a recessed bottom, and it has a tight-fitting lid.
Okay.
And
if
I
you have the
would-
lid, can you leave them in your house? Or should you always
You
put them
can,
outside?
but I would put them outside.
Not
And
on a wood deck.
Exactly. Just to be on the safe side, you want all of that outside where you know it's going to be safe.
Okay. Tools. What are the key tools that you need if you have a wood-burning stove?
Tool sets are really nice, but this is called a rake. And this is the most important tool that you need for a wood stove.
Okay.
You can poke the fire with it if you need to. You can rake your coals forward in the morning when you want to reload. You can also push your ashes down into the ash pan with the rake. Okay. So that's the most important tool, really.
All right. I think my 12-month-old would have a heyday with this, but I don't really think it's a safe thing to have on the hearth for me.
Little
with small
kids
children.
love to play with these.
That's looking
And
not very
not the greatest
schoolish.
idea.
Okay, all right. Great celebration shout-outs this week. And joined now with Pat Gingrich here at the Original Flame. Pat, what's the number one or the biggest mistakes people do when they are wood burning?
Usually they don't get it hot enough on light up.
Really?
A lot of people are afraid, they're concerned about chimney fires, and it's kind of counterintuitive. That is the largest mistake. If you don't get it hot enough, you're going to generate creosote, and that's going to cause potential for a chimney fire in the chimney.
You say there's three major mistakes. What are they?
The first one is not getting the fire hot enough on light up. The second one is actually putting wood in the fire too early. There's three phases to the fire. There's the flame phase, the light up phase, the flame phase, and the charcoal phase. And as soon as the flames disappear, a lot of times people will add wood. And that's a pretty crucial mistake. You'll go through a lot of wood. That charcoal part is not the hottest part of the fire, but it's the most efficient by far. So quite often you could let it go once the flames go out for hours, up to 2 or 3 hours, and then rekindle when all the charcoal's burnt down. There's just enough to get it going again.
And what's number three? What's the third mistake?
Number 3 is adding a stick or two at a time. People will do this to try and regulate the heat in home, and they're actually creating, again, a creosote problem and going through a lot more wood.
And what makes it fuel efficient? What makes it different than the other ones?
Yeah, it's a great question. Really what they've done is they've controlled the air movement through the stove. And by strategic placement of the air throughout the firebox, this actually reignites the smoke that would otherwise go out your chimney. So what they're doing is actually capturing 30% more heat out of each piece of wood because we're reburning the smoke and turning it into heat.
What could somebody do who has an older fireplace to make it more efficient without replacing the entire thing?
If it's an older fireplace and it's to code and in decent condition, you can actually install an EPA wood-burning insert that will create the same efficiency as something like what we have here in a freestanding stove.
What can you expect to pay for these
Well, you're
stoves?
probably looking at anywhere from, say, $2,500 to $3,500, maybe $4,000, depending on what you want. There is many different price points for these things,
Okay.
but that's going to turn that situation into an incredibly efficient situation.
Thanks so much for watching.